What's up guys, Luke here, and in today's video I'm going to be telling you guys about the first time I ever smoked weed. And now to keep it a stack, I have told this story on here before, but that was when I was posting videos a while ago, and that's a long story. I'm not going to get into it right now, but basically this is a retelling, right? So to start off, we got to take it back to 2015, right? I was 14, about to be 15. It was like May or June of 2015, right? And I went over to a buddy's house who I had met in sixth grade, right? I met him a few years prior, and he was just like, hey, you want to come over and hang out? And I was like, yeah, sure, right? So, I had my mom or my dad or whoever drop me off, and I went into his backyard, back by his garage, and his brother was probably off, playing Rainbow Six Siege on his PC or whatever, and he was me and a buddy of mine and all his buddies were out, by his garage, right? And he came up to me and he was like whispering, like he was keeping it all like mwah, like that type of shit. He was like, guess what I got? And I was like, what do you got? And he was like, you'll never guess. And I was like, just tell me. And he was like, no, guess. And I was like, if you don't tell me, I'm gonna beat the fuck out of you. And he was like, it's fine. It didn't quite go like that, but you know. And he was just like, oh man, I got some weed, man. I got some weed. And I was just like, oh shit, you got weed? He was like, yeah. And he went into his garage to show me. I was standing outside his garage. He came back out with two massive mason jars filled with nugs the size of fucking ping pong balls. And I was just like, in my head, I'm thinking, you are 13, 14 years old. Where the fuck did you get that much weed? You don't have that kind of money, okay? Like, yeah, your parents got money, but you do not have that kind of money. Where the fuck did you get that much weed, right? I didn't ask him, but I was wondering, right? And he was just like, you want to smoke or whatever? And I was just like, I don't know, because, I was still, trying to be pure, I went through the DARE programs. Well, in my school district, we called it Plus. I don't know what Plus stands for, but it was called Plus, right? And I was still abiding by that. I was just like, well, I don't know. I was tapping the tips of my fingers together like that shy fucking ooh-woo type shit. I was just like, I don't know, man. I don't know. And he was just like, well, if you ever change your mind, I got a stockpile. And I was like, okay, I'll think about it, right? So a few minutes go by, and I'm thinking, and everybody else is smoking weed, and I'm just like, you know what? Fuck it, right? And I was like, you know what? I'll smoke some weed with you. And he was like, all right, man! All fucking right! Let's fucking go! And he wasn't saying it like that, but you could tell he was thinking it like that, right? And he pulled out the weed, right? He pulled out one nug. He didn't even break it up. He just took one whole fucking nug, right? And he took his buddy's pipe that his buddy had. And it was one of those corn cob pipes that you get from like gas stations in Ohio. And it was like taped together with like green and purple duct tape, right? It was like a corn cob pipe, like the bowl piece of it, but it had like the mouthpieces to a bunch of like glass pipes like taped to it, right? And it was all like, it was some fucking MacGyver shit, right? And he took this nug and he just fucking stuffed it in that bowl piece. Like, he didn't even bother breaking it up, as I said, right? And he didn't tell me, because this was the first time I ever smoked weed. So, thinking back, I probably should have taken, a few small hits at first, or, he probably should have told me, because, like, he had smoked weed before me, right? But no, he didn't tell me nothing. I wasn't warned, right? I fucking ripped that shit as hard as I could 3 fucking times, right? Like 3 times back to fucking back. And he's just watching me. He's like giggling and shit, doing that fucking stoner laugh shit like that. And within seconds, I started coughing up a lung. I was on the ground. I was coughing. I couldn't stop. I was like, right? And we were back by his shed, which was behind his garage, right? I'm surprised the neighbors didn't call the fucking 911 and have the ambulance show up. Like, I sounded like I was fucking dying, right? And he was like, man, are you okay? Are you okay? And I was just like, yeah, I'm fine. Give me a second. Right? And, obviously I survived, But then later on in the story, we're all chilling, right? It's me, him, his buddies, and all that. And they decide that they're gonna sell the weed that he had left over, right? And I'm just like, we could be smoking that, thinking back on that, we could be smoking that, right? But no, he wanted to sell it. He wanted to make some money. So I was just minding my own business, really. And he gets a hold of somebody that he knew. They pull up in front of his fucking house, right? And this is in a suburban area too. Like he lived in the suburbs, right? I'm not from the suburbs. Like this was like rich, not rich people, but like old people, like suburbs. So like automatically I felt out of place. But anyway, these dudes pull up. They give him $5 for both jars of fucking weed. He had like 4 ounces of fucking bud, and he sold it for $5 fucking, right? And back then, I didn't know nothing about that. Like I wasn't, I wasn't a dealer. I didn't know nothing about that. Like, I'd been around people who smoked weed and shit, but like I had never I didn't know anything about that type of shit, right? So, I was whatever, and this dude that I was friends with, he was so excited to get this $5, and afterwards his buddies were telling him like, you got scammed, bro. Like that was a lot of weed, and you sold it for $5. Like you got scammed. He was just like, oh no, I didn't get scammed. I made money. I'm a hustler, man. I'm a dealer. I'm fucking Scarface up in this bitch. Like yeah, like that type of shit. He always thought he was the shit, right? And anyway, all his buddies end up leaving later on, and it's just me, him, his brother, and his dad, right? And we're sitting inside his house. We're watching Steven Universe. This was when Steven Universe first started blowing up, right? And we're sitting in his living room, right? Well, they called it the family room. They had like 2 living rooms. They were that type of fucking wealthy. But anyway, me and him are sitting in this living room. We're watching Steven Universe. His brother is over in the corner playing Rainbow Six on the computer. His dad, who's a fucking crippled Vietnam vet, is sitting in the fucking corner, right? Doing whatever he's doing. He's not really paying attention, right? And we're watching Steven Universe. And we look over at each other and we just start giggling, right? We don't say nothing to each other, but we just start giggling. And then we go into the kitchen and we eat up like so many fucking snacks, bro. Like so many snacks. And then we go outside and his mom gets home. And that's when the paranoia set in. And I was just like, oh no, she's going to find out we smoked weed. Like I was a little bitch, right? She's going to find out we smoked weed. So then I went in and I fessed up to her and I was like, ma'am, me and Justin smoked weed. His name was Justin. We smoked weed. And she was like, what? And I was like, I'm sorry. It was his weed. I'm sorry. Right? And then she goes out. She grabs him by the fucking ear. She drags him and she's like, I have it on good authority that you were in possession of illegal drugs. And he looks at me and he's just like, you're dead. Right? And I'm just like, I'm sorry. I got scared. And like nothing really came of that. But, like, that's basically what happened, That is the story of the first time I ever smoked weed. Not, the video's about to cut out, so I gotta hurry up. But anyway, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, comment what you want to see next. Follow me on all my social medias. And without further ado, I am out.